You're listening to Midlife Side Quest, the Over the Hill Gaming Podcast. Here's your host, John Wall.
You know, it would be really easy when making a podcast that talks about being middle-aged and being old to do nothing but complain every episode. Every episode I could just rant about all the aches and the pains and all the pills that I take. But that would not only be obnoxious for you, but it would also be ignoring the many perks and benefits that come with aging. It's not all awful, you know. For example, one of the greatest things about getting older, and something that I feel like has become particularly clear the further I get into my middle age, is the ability to not care in the slightest bit what other people think. And when I say I don't mean like I don't value other people's opinions. It's more specifically that I don't care what other people think of me. I am 45 years old. I am well past the age of trying to be cool. That ship has sailed. I just don't care what fashions are trendy, what the latest fads are online. Watching other people my age trying to be hip and cool is embarrassing a little bit. You don't have to do that. You really don't need to do that. You don't need a TikTok channel. You don't need to learn the dances from Fortnite. It's unnecessary. Nobody cares. You're not going to impress the young people, and folks your own age are just going to think you're weird. But then again, if mastering the floss is truly what's in your heart, then go ahead. Do that without giving a single damn what anyone thinks. It's so freeing to not care if people think I'm boring or old or if I dress bad. All three of those things are true, and I am 100% okay with that. You spend so much of your early years trying to impress people, whether it's your parents when you're a kid, or your friends when you're a teenager, or that person you think is hot at work when you're an adult. To be rid of that burden is amazing. I will wear cardigans 12 months out of the year. I will get really excited about the new episode of NCIS. I will listen to nothing but 70s and 80s music, and I will be happy with who I am. I've been playing Call of Duty games since the original came out on PC way back when. And I'm one of those weirdos who primarily plays for the single-player campaign. I'll dabble a little bit in multiplayer modes, and I think Warzone is pretty cool. It's not really my thing, but it's cool. But when I drop my $60 or 70, I guess now, I'm doing it because I want to experience that over-the-top, ridiculous, action-packed story that is a roller coaster ride of explosions and gunfights. That's why I'm there. And I think Modern Warfare 2 is the best version of that thing that they have done in many years. If you're not familiar, Infinity Ward is essentially rebooting the popular Modern Warfare trilogy that was released between 2007 and 2011. It's not a remake, but it's a reimagining that features mostly the same set of characters. You know, you've got Soap, you've got Price, all the people you love, and a lot of very similar story beats. Part 1 of this new trilogy came out in 2019, and I thought it was the best campaign they had done since Infinite Warfare, which, uncoincidentally, was also developed by Infinity Ward. sensing a trend here. Essentially, if you put Infinity Ward behind the wheel of a Call of Duty game, you know you are going to get something good. In my opinion, when this Activision deal is done, and please let it be done, I would love to see them take over this series completely and build on this universe that they've created. Back to the game, though. Modern Warfare 2 is the culmination of all of the developers' experience creating these action thrillers. The game plays out like an exciting Hollywood blockbuster with epic set pieces and well-done cinematics, which flesh out the story with honestly more skill than has been seen in a Call of Duty campaign before. In some of the games of the past, I've found the plot confusing. They tend to jump around between characters a lot, and it just, in old games, it just got convoluted. And they still do that, but this time the story is more clear and more concise. And they do a good job of kind of fleshing out some of these characters that you'll be playing as and making them much more interesting. One of the standouts is Colonel Vargas of the Mexican Special Forces. You actually start to kind of a little bit, get invested and interested in these characters. I will say, though, if you struggle to remember details and characters from games that came out years ago, like I do, because my brain is riddled with holes, I recommend replaying the last Modern Warfare campaign before you jump into 2, because there were several callbacks and characters that show up throughout the game that are obviously supposed to be impactful, but most of the time I was struggling to remember exactly who they were. I would go, oh, that's that one person who I remember vaguely. So go back and play the original. Over the course of the campaign, which took me about 8 hours to complete, it's pretty good length for a Call of Duty campaign. They do a fantastic job at pacing. The game builds intensity with these quieter, more stealth-based missions before crescendoing with a huge action scene, both of which are done with the skill and the expertise that Infinity Ward is known for. There's really some great mission designs in here. Some of the standouts include a mission that has you tracking a terror suspect as they cross the U.S.-Mexico border in the middle of the night. You're quietly stalking your prey through this quiet neighborhood. It's really cool, very tense. There's also an attack on a convoy, which builds in intensity and features some truly exciting and bonkers moments. The whole thing feels like an interactive Jason Bourne type of movie, and it really proves that when it comes to this type of experience, there really just aren't too many developers who do it as good as Infinity Ward. The game isn't perfect. I did experience some bugs during my playthrough, and normally it wouldn't be too much of a big deal. But when the rest of the game is as polished as it is, and this game is beautiful looking, it's jarring when you come across something, when you're hiding in the brush and a soldier walks by and he has no arms and his assault rifle is just floating in midair in front of him. That's weird. Takes you out of the game a little bit. My other issue is one that I think maybe is more of a me problem, and that is the fact that I really kind of suck at this game. I know I don't have the quick reflexes I might have had 20 years ago, if I ever had them, but I was surprised by how much I was struggling through a few of the game's more intense scenes. I was playing on regular difficulty, and I still found myself dying 10, 15, 20 times in some missions, which really took some of the momentum out of what were otherwise really thrilling scenarios. Towards the end of the game, I bumped the difficulty down to easy just to be able to cruise through the rest of the game. Again, this is probably just because I suck. Despite those issues, though, I loved Modern Warfare 2. It is a thrilling action adventure with memorable characters, amazing action, great shooting. If you're a fan of this series or shooters in general, I would highly recommend it. It isn't trying to reinvent the wheel or take Call of Duty in any particularly new directions. It's not changing anything fundamental. It's just doing that thing really, really well. The other day, I was at work and I was walking down this hallway, and I came across this elderly lady walking in the other direction. She's probably 80 years old or so, at least. Never seen her before in my life, just passing her by in the hallway. Right as we are passing by one another, she stops and looks at me. And she says, "Have a wonderful first day of the rest of your life." And then she just kept walking. That was it. I don't know what she was doing there. My day job is in healthcare. So it was entirely possible that she was there to visit somebody or had an appointment herself. Most of the time, nobody wants to be at a hospital. It's not too often you're there for a good reason. But despite whatever was going on in this woman's life, she stopped to say something nice to a complete stranger. And for the rest of the day, I kept thinking of that old lady and smiling. The smallest gesture can make a big difference, and it served as a reminder to try and do something nice for somebody else, no matter how small it is. If every one of us tried to do that, it would just be nice. Thank you for listening to Midlife Side Quest. You can catch new episodes every Thursday wherever you listen to podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review, and follow us on Twitter at MidlifeSQ. Until next week, stay positive and keep playing.